Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Tam's story. And we're going to pick up right where we left off. It's late in the evening, um, where we are just back at Cavies. Uh, you, as mentioned, you've warned Alistair that, uh, Alacaster, goodness gracious, I knew I got something wrong. You've warned Alacaster that Kaisa, the detective, was going to stop by in the morning to have a conversation with him. Uh, You have all the time in the world. What would you like to do?
I I would also like to update him on some other information, if I may. I
Of
would
course.
also like to tell him, in addition to updating him about the Kaiser situation, I want to tell him that Kaiser told me that Eniga had talked to her about a connection for Riverine, and that I was happy to investigate that in the rest of the city. I didn't know where to start really with that, but if he has an idea of what that would why that would be useful. Like, my first thought is maybe the war effort, but if it's not leaving the city, that's kind of weird. Um, I also wanted to encourage him to potentially recruit Nock because, based on my conversation with him and sort of the kinds of stories that he's killing and the kinds of stories that he's holding on to, it seems like he, at the very least, first of all, at the very least, he has some knowledge of the rebellion, or at least of some arm of the rebellion, if it, even if it's not the sort of like noble arm of the rebellion.
Okay.
And so I wanted to encourage him to to recruit Nock if possible, and also to let him know that like he has stories that he's sitting on, and like the right kind of people might be able to tell him. Maybe it might be able to that like that seems like a really useful person to have on your side. Um, and that and kind of also report that like these people have kind of heard rumors of rebellion. This is something that's like if it's reaching their ears, it might also be reaching the king's ears. So that's something to look out for. Um,
If you'll
and kind of just
recall, when
Mhm.
you were thinking about Riverine, you rolled a natural one. Uh,
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
so as you bring up the Riverine connection, Alacaster kind of looks at you with a quizzical eyebrow, and you would learn from Alacaster Riverine was an import to Augur City and Aurelia in general. It's hard to
Oh,
find
interesting.
here.
Okay.
It is primarily found in the Shatterspine and north of Lake Tygel along the northern coast of Kao. That's that's kind of where Riverine comes from. Um, and Alacaster would explain to you that it is a metal literally made of magically condensed water. Uh, Hence the name.
Sure.
It is a
I think that's
unique
what Kaisa said too.
Yeah, it's a unique material that can store energy and release it when electrical magic is passed through it. So it's used a lot in magical weapons and also uh, in structures that are put in places frequently weathering storms, such as lightning rods and lightning towers.
It's
That's
like
where
like like an automatic absorb elements sort of situation.
kind of, except when it absorbs the elements, that energy is multiplied. Uh,
Wild.
but
That's awesome.
only lightning. Lightning is the only thing that
Sounds like that would
happens
be
with it.
very useful in guns, for example.
You'd think so, yeah.
Okay, good to know. So this is something that already kind of existed in in Augur City before now.
Kind of. So it was an import. It was something that was frequently pulled into Augur City for the use in enchantment and magical item creation at the Mages Circle. However, there hasn't been many imports ever since the war started because
Okay,
things
interesting.
aren't coming in
Well,
from KO.
Tam's Tam doesn't know exactly what's going on with the trams, but for one thing, Kaisa is investigating, and he has on pretty good faith, not authority, but faith that she will tell him at least something of what's going on. Um, but he suspects that if Riverine is the thing, and there's also if it's like that's a possibility that that might be something that's coming in on the trans. Or it could be something else, but it's definitely something that is being covered up. We also want to even say that like apparently some kid was investigating, and like that was also covered up. That kid could have, I don't know what happened to that kid. He could have been murdered. He could have been put in jail. He could have just been silenced in some way. That might be worth looking into also.
Okay. Uh,
Because whatever he found, if he disappeared, whatever he found was important.
that that makes sense. So you convey all of this to Alacaster and Annabelle. They take your information into consideration. They ask you what your general take of Mr. Nock was. What does Tam think of Nock?
Tam, I mean, Tam is, Tam is chaotic good. So, Tam wanted to trust him and got a really good vibe off of him, essentially. And Tam thinks that he genuinely does want. He seemed to like. He'll basically relate that like his cover story was that he wanted to help the city, and that seemed to open Knock up. And so he thinks that Nock is very frustrated by having his stories killed and seems to want to track the progress of sort of like the little guy, and like doesn't seem to, based on the conversation, really didn't seem to like the new king. And seemed like he had specifically and kind of carefully mentioned that like, well, to a foreign ear it sounds kind of like the king is causing some problems and that maybe the king got his power unlawfully, and he was like, wow, it sounds like that to a domestic ear also. So he's at least, he's not going to say that he's like definitely a diehard, but he definitely seems like a person that could be softened up
Okay.
and is at the very least interested in tracking a even if he's not, even if they don't recruit him, he might be a person that might spread the revolution around the idea of the rebellion around, and is definitely listening for it. So he might be worth converting, if only to make sure he's not a problem in the future.
Okay. Uh, roll me a persuasion check.
Okay, do I still have my enhance ability up?
It only lasts an hour,
It
so
only lasts an
no.
hour. Okay. 19.
Okay. Alacaster and Annabelle seem fairly convinced, at least that you believe what you're saying.
Sure.
And they'll send feelers. They're not gonna hard commit, but they'll probably, mull the idea around.
Sure. That's pretty much all he was asking anyway. It was just like, think it over.
Okay. So, it's still late evening. You have all the time in the world, I guess. At least as much as you
Well,
can cram into this evening. Do you have anything else you want to
I mean,
accomplish?
Tam definitely does want to cram some stuff into the evening. Tam made a couple of promises last session. I want him to honor them. First promise was to buy a round for Sagona, which he will. Which he will. He doesn't have a lot of gold, considering how much it took to bribe people.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder, are we getting? Is there any point at which we're going to get paid for this job? I don't know, because we did do the job.
So the thing is, the detective was you fixing your own mistake.
Right,
So you're
exactly.
not getting any pay for that, but you might. This is if you talk to Cal Alacaster about it, he will basically tell you, "We'll see how things go." But yes, you will get paid.
I imagine that like the first thing that we were contracted for was to get Alacaster to the city safely, which we did.
Yes, but
But I
the
think,
Marigard
as far
pays
as
you
I
for that.
understand it, that's the thing that the Marigard is paying us for. We don't get paid for. Okay, cool. All right. Well, he has like 19 gold left or something like that. And so, but
Hmm.
he will keep his promise and buy around. Um, it is clear that what he wants to do is he wants to go back to that fiddler bar and play some music to burn off steam. But he did make another promise, and that was to Wash to give her a lesson in common. So maybe he will do that over the round. He will teach her some common.
Okay, to teach somebody common or any language requires a significant dedication of time.
Hmm.
Um, so it's going to take you a couple hours. Like you can
Of course.
start with the round, but then you're basically going to be
Yeah.
doing that
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What's your wisdom score?
Two. Oh,
Y-
14, but
Plus two.
modifiers too.
Okay. I was like, you don't have a wisdom of two. That means you're a vegetable. Um,
He
um,
did learn a language himself. And he is
sure.
well, he's willing. He's absolutely willing to cast enhance ability on himself again, also.
To convey a language to somebody else, it generally requires an insight check. So
Okay.
if you wish to give Wash the best opportunity, enhance ability might be the trick.
He will do that.
Um,
Happily.
Teaching somebody a language requires understanding where they're coming from and like what commonalities they have to connect it to. So roll me an insight with advantage due to enhance ability.
I hope that it helps also that he also speaks her language. I don't know if that lowers the DC at
It
all,
makes it
but
possible.
he.
Teaching
That's not
somebody a
great.
language when you don't have a common ground is much harder.
That makes a lot of sense. Only 13, unfortunately.
Okay, let me roll for Wash's intelligence. Okay. Wash is not dumb, uh, which is a point of frustration for her that she, like, is intelligent, but people can't tell that because she doesn't speak the common
Sure.
language. Um, However, over the next 2 hours, you make some good progress. Wash seems to be a capable student.
Excellent.
It's likely the same sort of mentality she used to take when it came to training. Now, learning a language, she is almost ruthless on herself as you begin going over not the basics, but like the descriptive and adverbs and nouns. You're spelling them out for her, and she's trying to soak them up as quickly as she can. She rolled a natural 20, so
Incredible. I think Tam is going to. I can flavor this at all. Tam is going to try to make this like as physical a process as he can because she's a monk, and try to sort of like like tab the sounds to like kind of like physical like motions that he can make or beats. I don't know if she's a kinesthetic learner, but like I think Tam probably is. And so that's kind of like he'll sort of pair sounds with motion and see if that helps.
okay. Uh, she rolled as good as she can, so we'll say that's the flavor. I don't know if she's kinesthetic either. I have not made that decision for all my NPCs, but I'll say that she takes to it well.
Do I still have a little bit of the time left over in the evening at the end of that?
It's like 10 o'clock at night at this point.
For
So,
Tam, that's not so late for Tam.
sure.
Tam will leave Sagona to teach her the curse words. Um, and then he will go to play some music at the Fiddler Bar, which he assumes is going to be open pretty late.
It's a bar. It's open basically 24 hours.
Excellent.
The taverns in Augur City specifically do not really close. The staff generally shift, and as you arrive there late at night, it is a Grey Dwarf, a Duragar, that is manning the bar when you arrive, but
Makes sense. Makes sense.
has no issue with you wanting to play music. Do you try to busk?
I don't know if that's like, is that allowed in a Fiddler Bar? Is music kind of its own currency in a bar like that?
Roll me a vibe check. Roll
Yeah,
me an
I would.
insight check.
What is the vibe? What is the vibe? Natural 20.
Busking might be seen as rude.
That's what I figured.
Most musicians are here to share their art and talent. They're not here to try and earn coin.
Yeah.
You don't see anybody else trying to get tips, though it seems as though some performances they do get some coins showered on them, but it's not the intention.
Okay. Yeah, Tam will find whatever jam is happening and attempt to join the jam, basically.
Roll performance.
I'm going to be using Soul Singer, so I'm rolling with advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I rolled so poorly. 19.
19. I mean, with a 19, you're basically about as good as the other musicians that are here, and you fit in well.
Excellent.
It's probably a very relaxed and easygoing evening for Tam.
Love
You
that.
probably get some friendly smiles and nod-alongs and people dancing to it is the outcome.
Awesome.
So,
He loves that. He'll sing a little bit even at the end of the night. I don't think he will drink very much though. Like
okay.
he will, like he'll get around because it's a bar. But he will mostly kind of let loose. And I think that he lets loose in this environment in a way that is different. It's different than he is around the rest of his party. Like I think that this is the most relaxed that he's been. It could even be like since he got to the Marigard. Like
Uh,
because this is
when you do
like
begin to sing, you
Mhm.
are offered a drink that I think would be new to you.
Oh, okay.
It's called a pesky-wapple. It is basically it's like a fizzy cider.
Yeah, he'll take that totally.
There's no alcohol in it. When you drink it, you feel a cleansing sensation down your throat, and it gives you advantage on performance checks made to sing.
Oh, he loves that. Absolutely. Oh yeah, he loves that.
The effects of it last an hour. So, I mean, you've already rolled with advantage, but you feel refreshed and your throat and vocal cords feel relaxed and ready.
I wish that was a thing in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Me too.
he will absolutely take that to its full extent, and I think that like even he mostly I don't think he's actually done that much jamming to be honest. Although he of course takes to it, he loves it. Um, I think probably the last amount of that he's done was when he was like a kid. But I think he kind of as he gains confidence through the night, he might even like sing some of the like newer songs that he's written, including the one for Sagona, and the one for especially the one for the fiddler that like fiddler's hymn he'll sing.
Sure. Uh, in this place of music, you feel heard. Uh, and the whole time, this is probably the most you've ever felt it, even though you grew up in a temple of Magos. Playing music here and singing, you felt the divine presence the whole time.
He loves that. He's really into that. Um, we don't have to play it out or anything, but can he roll to like make a friend that is also a cleric or like a fiddler worshiper? Can he like make some friends while he does this?
I mean, everyone kind of has the same positive vibe here. Everyone's pretty relaxed. But if you're going to go out of your way to try to find somebody, like, to make a connection, um, that's a good question.
This is not me trying to make you make an NPC on the spot. I'm
I
trying to
understand.
like
Go ahead and roll. I'm trying to figure out what sort of. Yeah, okay. Roll me a insight.
okay. That's pretty good. 19.
Okay. Yeah. As you're playing, this short and thin bronze scaled dragonborn seems to like be attracted to your style of music. She is playing a shamisen, which, if you recall, is exactly
That's Tally's instrument.
yes, that was Tally's instrument. Um, you also get the impression that this is a road traveling like minstrel or bard. She's wearing like leather armors and has a mace on her belt.
Awesome.
And she just is playing along, like she picks up your melody and begins playing complementary parts the whole time.
Love that.
At some point, she introduces herself as Luna, and she
Hi,
seems impressed by your style of
I'm
music.
Tam. I'm Tam. My bard instructor played a shamisen too.
She has good taste.
She does. So do you, clearly.
You're right.
Are you
And
mercenary?
she spins the shamisen. Oh no, just spend a lot of time on the road. It's dangerous out there.
Sure is. You're telling me. Where are you from?
She points north and just kind of smiles. She doesn't really give you a real answer. Uh,
Yeah, Tam's hip to that.
yeah.
You want to
Just
play me one?
sure. Show roll performance. 17, so almost as good as yours. Um, it might make you like just remind you of Tally because the shamisen is very. It almost like pigeonholes the player into a kind of music. Uh,
Sure.
but it sounds good.
Tam will totally harmonize.
I think she appreciates that. You can make a note that you now know and are friendly with Luna Vilkis, a bronze
Okay.
dragonborn bard.
I love that for me. I don't think he'll stay. I mean, he'll want to stay forever. Um, but he will. I think he'll stay for like he'll stay until past midnight, like 1 in the morning.
Sure.
Um, and he'll give a little prayer to the fiddler on the way out. Um, basically, thanking him for the rejuvenation, essentially. Um, and kind of rededicating all his songs to him. And then he will toddle off home.
As you
Well,
as
not
you
quite home.
toddle off home, a phrase appears in your mind.
Ooh.
Uh, it's one you're pretty sure you've heard before, but you don't remember where. And the phrase is, "Dreams are where we write the best songs."
Ooh, okay. He will make a note of this and take a little dream journal to bed and make resolve to write something in the morning to write write out his dreams in the morning.
Sure. One moment,
Is
please.
is Sigona still teaching Wash and or drinking at the bar when
By
he
1 in
wakes
the
up?
morning,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
Your party has gone to bed, you think.
And is there anything that he was told to wait for in the morning? I don't think he has another particular job from Alec-Caster, right?
You're kind of on waiting until Kaiza has the conversation with Alacaster.
Okay, great.
You know that Kaiza was going to, uh, investigate the tram and talk to you about it in the morning if there was anything.
Okay, got it. He will do his best to wake up at a reasonable time then.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a D100.
Okay. $77.
77. Okay. Roll me a D4.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting. You do have a dream.
Ooh.
Uh, your dream is ominous, to say the least.
Oh, interesting.
It doesn't feel out of place to you. You feel as though you are home, or were home, before you went to the Merryguard, and your family are all around the fireplace in the home that you grew up in. Only also around the fireplace, you see Sigona, Wash, Hiram, Skolna. Everybody is sitting, quietly listening as your father is talking, but he's not saying anything that's true.
Hmm.
Your family and friends, you look to them, and It doesn't disconcert you. Well, it doesn't disconcert Tam in the dream, but you see that all of your family and friends, their eyes are replaced with bleeding mouths.
What?
And every time they speak, the mouths where their eyes were are what are moving, and they tell nothing but lies. Really strange and obvious lies.
Like Tam is a human and not a tiefling
Yeah,
sort of situation.
like the sky is purple, or the ground is made of taffy. Strange, obvious lies that don't make sense to you.
What? That's so weird. Okay.
That is the dream that you have, Tam. And when you awaken, you don't feel like you've had a nightmare. You just feel a little weird, as if that was just a strange experience.
Do I remember the dream? Can I write it down in my dream journal?
Yeah, you remember it well enough.
Okay.
You
I
don't
will write
remember
it
the
down in my
very
dream.
specifics, but you do remember what happened.
I remember like weird, like not the. I don't remember the lies, but I remember the weird mouths in the wrong place. Maybe.
Yes.
Tam is disconcerted.
Does
He
Tam room
gets
with
up
anybody?
and what a good question. I feel like maybe he and Sagona are well, it depends on how frisky Sagona wants to be with other people. Tam will be Tam. I mean, I think Tam would have asked Sagona about that, honestly. But otherwise, he's happy to be with any of his compatriots. Maybe Hiram maybe makes the most sense.
When you asked Sagona, about that, she would tell you, I don't think this wash thing's gonna end up anywhere. So, yeah, it's fine.
Okay, Tam like Sagona is definitely Tam's first choice.
Sure. You get the impression Sagona is pretty convinced Wash is maybe heterosexual or just not interested in
Maybe
Sagona.
straight, yeah.
With as you awaken, feeling disconcerted, you chose Sagona. Sagona would like look over and be like, "You're right.
Yeah, just a weird dream.
You look like you slept on a bed of nails."
Yeah, it was a really weird dream. Also, I came back late. There is a bar to the Fiddler, and it was really good. I got to jam with a lot of cool people. I liked it a lot.
Good. Tell me about the dream, because they almost never mean nothing.
Really?
I don't know.
Well, you
I've
were
heard
in it.
someone say that before. I was.
Yeah, you and all the whole party was, and also my family. And my dad was talking nonsense. And then every time people talked, they also talked nonsense. Like people had mouths where their eyes should be, and then their mouths just like those little mouths just said stuff that was wrong.
Nola scratches her chin. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that we're dealing with all sorts of people talking behind their backs. You know,
Mm,
it's all bullshit around here.
yeah, that's true. There's a lot of lies. Hard to tell what's the truth.
It's it's bloody annoying if you ask me.
Yeah, well, but you see through it really well, though, right? You're
That,
pretty wise.
that doesn't mean I like to.
Yeah,
Be
that's
much
fair.
easier if people would just say what they mean.
I agree. That's why I try to do that.
You
Although
do.
I recognize that I haven't been doing that as much lately, but that's mostly the job.
Hmm.
I
Well,
don't really know how I feel about that.
what, they are being paid to lie to people?
Yeah.
We're mercenaries, you know that, right?
I know, I'm just not very good at it. And I feel like I'm getting better at it, and I don't know if I necessarily want to be, you know?
Well, but you pick the people that you lie to, right? You don't just.
That's true. It worked with Kaiser yesterday, and we didn't have to kill her, and that's better than any other outcome.
I'd say so. Speaking of which, what's the story with that?
With what?
Kaiser? She's supposed to
I
come
mean,
here today?
she's supposed to come here today. I guess we'll find out what the story is when she tells us. I'm hoping that talking to Alacaster will make her feel, generally better about the whole thing.
Right. What time is it?
But I don't know. What time is it, Echo?
So you went to bed. Right, I need to ask me that. You went to bed pretty late, so to get the full 8 hours, you woke up pretty late. It's about maybe 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock, sure.
Maybe even 8:30? Let me roll. It is 8:30 in the morning.
Okay. Tim will yawn and say, okay, well, I gotta get some clava, I think, in order to pay attention to everything that I need.
And a bath. You smell like beeswax.
Do I?
Aye.
From,
Mm-hmm.
maybe from last night. I guess the bar smells like beeswax. Okay.
You would know it does.
Okay.
A lot of stringed instruments, a lot of like wooden instruments that are treated with beeswax.
Sure, rosin. Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll be back.
Mm.
He'll try to get out of the shower and downstairs by like 9:15.
Easy enough. When you get downstairs, you would see Kaisa not near Alacaster.
Interesting.
She's standing near the bar, right by the base of the stairs. And as you come down the stairs, she like turns to you and she says, "It's about time."
Hi.
"Hi, we gotta talk."
Okay.
She gestures like,
Yeah, he'll come over to wherever she is in a little shadowy corner
"There's something wrong.
with the trams.
It goes deeper than that."
Okay. Did you talk to Alec already? Do you feel satisfied? You trust me enough to talk to me?
Yeah, I talked to him briefly. Look, last night I went to the trams to see what was going on.
Uh-huh.
A shipment came in late.
Okay.
Real late. It wasn't marked. There was a lot of
River?
Goals Watch standing around. It wasn't marked. There were crates. Nothing was on them. That's not
Okay.
normal.
Unmarked crates. Do you know what's in them?
Let me get somewhere here, okay?
Okay. Sorry.
I tried to get closer. Sergeant Ezekiel got in my way. Told me I shouldn't have been there. Told me I was off duty for this. I said I just wanted to lay a hand. He said it wasn't my business. He said I should stick to walking my beat.
Huh.
Told me that if I knew what was good for me, I'd leave it alone.
Oh, wow. That's aggressive.
Yeah, it was. So, I made a show of leaving. Sidetracked about an hour away. Up through the back streets, I watched them take the carts out of town, north. There's like...
So they are leaving town.
Just a ways. These carts were loaded down with like 100 crates each.
Wow.
It's a lot, whatever they're moving. They're going out to the Severt farm.
The Severed farm? What's
Severt. Severt.
that? Okay.
It's supposed to be... It's a livestock farm. It's supposed to be, anyway. Only... When I went and looked early this morning, They have like 6 cows. And a barn way bigger than 6 cows need.
So something is going on there.
Something fucky is going on there.
You want me to check it out?
Well, that's the sticky part. There's Gold's Watch around there.
Ah,
They're not in uniform.
okay.
I didn't get any closer. I didn't want them looking at me and seeing my face, knowing who I am.
But you don't necessarily have to be in uniform either. But you don't outrank them.
They know who I am. I don't know who they are specifically, but I know the gate. So, Captain Ezekiel thinks I'm walking the beat down on the South Fork, which is where I will be.
Okay. So you need someone whose face that they don't know to investigate what's going on.
Find out what the fuck's going on at Severed Farm. Yeah.
Okay.
I talked to
I can do that.
Alacaster about it a moment, but if there's something there, it might be a key to this.
Okay. I'm on it.
I'll be back here this evening.
All right. My rogue and I'll go ahead.
Don't get caught. I can't help
will
you
do
if you
that.
get caught.
I will do my very best.
She nods and she like steps away from the wall. She waves to Alacaster, who is like looking back at you. And Alacaster just like holds a hand up as the detective leaves. And then he just gives you the quick little come hither gesture. Like,
He'll trot on over.
you mind illuminating me on what that was all about?
Oh, so she didn't actually talk to you very much then, huh?
She said she noticed something questionable going on with the Gold's Watch and the trams last night, but she said she wanted to talk to you.
Interesting. So she told me that apparently the trams, I mean, the information that I picked up in the city yesterday was that the trams had some weird goods that were coming into the city and maybe not going out, but the trams were basically guarded and in such a way that was suspicious. There were enough Gold's Watch around that they didn't want other people to know what it was. She said that those trams have a lot of unmarked crates on them, and those crates are being diverted to a place called Severett Farms, which is a little bit out of town. Supposedly a livestock farm, but they only have a couple of cows, and they seem to have a real big barn to stash whatever it is that is coming in from the trams. She asked me to go check it out.
Huh. Okay. So it sounds like she might have been convinced by what she saw that we are...
That's what I thought.
All right. Well, sounds like you have a plan. Or do you not?
Sounds like I have a plan. I feel like I would like to deputize my very capable rogue for this, though.
Hmm?
Because I'm not as good at sneaking as she is. But she did say it's important that she's not there because they'll notice her face.
Right.
Fortunately, I can change mine, um, but I'm not as good at sneaking.
Would it be all right if Annabelle went with you?
If she wants to, is there a reason why?
Annabelle nods. And Alacaster continues. If these crates are full of what I suspect they might be, she'll have ways of detecting it without opening them.
Okay, like gunpowder. Are they a weapon, you think?
I suspect it's things that's not supposed to be leaving KO that are.
Riverine? Banacite? What?
Could be either. Could be any of those materials, or Iceflex. Medirisk. Whatever it is, you're going to want Annabelle to be able to read it through those walls. If you can
Okay.
find... Also, she has a real sharp eye for the detail. So, if you can find evidence or a manifest that's not supposed to be declaring what it is, she'll be able to tell if anything's hidden.
Okay, sold. Let me talk to my team, and we'll be off.
Right. And he kind of like taps the table. And he looks over at Annabelle, who just nods and stands up.
Tam will relay this information to the rest of his team, and say, Skulna, I think you're gonna be our best asset here.
She's like twirling
Do
a
we want
dagger on her fingertips.
do we want everybody to come? I feel like this might be a small team mission. It might be useful to maybe have the rest of y'all kind of like scattered around in case there's trouble. But I don't think even all of us could take a bunch of Gold's Watch if it gets that far. I don't think violence is really the solution here.
I think if you get caught, then the few of you is better, so the rest of us can break out.
I agree. Skulna, you think so?
Skolna looks at you as she puts the dagger away, and she just says, I'm not getting caught.
That's my rogue. Okay. Let's go.
So Skolna follows you. Sagona and Hiram kind of look at each other and then just go back to eating breakfast. Wash steps forward and she says, Are you sure the two of you will be enough?
Do you want to come with us, Wash?
I have not been feeling useful.
Okay. I mean, you're really perceptive. My worry is that you're also you're pretty distinctive. But that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I mean, I don't know how much, the guard did catch us that one time. But if you wanna come and sort of like be our eyes, that would be great.
I can be sneaky.
Okay, let's do it.
I can... She, like, holds her hands apart in, like, a very... And then she just goes in primordial... I can make a cloud of fog to cover.
Perfect. Perfect. Let's go.
She follows you. And as you're leaving, Annabelle, like, just kind of parts from the table and walks up next to you, and she says, I hope my coming doesn't make you feel, like we don't trust you, because that's not the case.
Not at all. I love artificers.
She blinks and she says, Oh, well, all right. Thank you.
You're a really useful asset to the team. And my only worry is I remember you were kind of anxious coming here. Is there anything I can do to set your mind at ease about this?
I mean, I just hope we don't have to kill anybody.
Me too.
That's not really where I can fight if I need to, but I really hope that doesn't happen.
Believe me, you are on the right team.
All right. And Annabelle follows you. So we go back to the Augur City map.
How far away is this Severt Farms?
Okay, so if you're looking at the city map,
Ooh, it's on the map even.
you can see all these pastures and
Sure.
the green meshes. Severt Farms is this little one, discreetly all by itself out here,
Okay.
north of the ferry gate.
That's suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we will truck through town. Is it gonna definitely be through the ferry gate that we should get out?
The ferry gate's the closest one, but it is also the ferry gate, which is basically where Gold's Watch is mostly founded.
Yeah, I feel like we should maybe try to double back around.
You could go out through the chapels, and that would basically keep you away from the Gold's Watch, period. Or you could try
Right,
going
because
through the Fool's Porch, which is a little closer and will save you time. And while there are city guard there, it's fewer of the Gold's Watch.
I trust the city guard more than I trust. I don't. I think Skulna would be fine in the chapels. I don't know if the rest of us would be fine in the chapels. So I'm gonna campaign for the Fool's Porch.
Okay. I mean, you're the party leader, so they will go where you tell them. I need to make a correction.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, last session I realized this as I was saying it. East Chapels is the unguarded criminal section, and
Sure.
West Chapels is the lower middle class, but definitely still has
Class,
guards
because
in it.
East Chapels is over here.
Yeah, I said it the other way around last time. I said
That's
West
cool. That's
Chapels
cool.
were unguarded.
That I did. This makes sense looking at the map. Cool. I'm down. I'm down for that.
Okay.
So we're gonna kind of like skirt the West Chapels and through the Fool's Porch to kind of
Okay.
like get out.
That is totally fine. Please roll me a d8.
Okay. Oh, and I will take my long rest also because
Yes, by all means,
all
please
my
take your
stuff,
long rest. A
all of my
6.
stuff has.
Roll me a d100.
Ooh, an encounter. 28.
28. Okay, let's see here. As you're making your way up toward the Fool's Porch gate, you're on the edge of the West Chapels, and as you are there, let's see here. All right. There is a bit of a crowd that has formed that is blocking the gate. And as you kind of like push your way up towards it, there's a pair of vendor carts that have pushed themselves up in front of the gate. They seem to be... Both of them are serving street foods.
Okay.
Both of them are serving the same kinds of street foods. You see that they are serving what looks like a pasta dish with peppers and meat in it.
Okay.
And they are at each other's throats.
Like physically?
Yeah. Like they are
Oh,
wrestling
no.
with each other. Their carts are like dishes and pasta are scattered all over the ground. It's a huge mess. And a lot of people are like surrounding it, watching what's happening. You don't see any guards. And you walk upon this as they're wrestling each other, basically. They are in an
Hey.
altercation.
Hey, what's going on here? Hey, stop.
Okay. As you call that out, a citizen next to you,
I'm gonna use thaumaturgy to make "Hey, stop" louder.
roll intimidation at advantage.
Okay. "19."
19. Your voice like echoes out over the crowd from thaumaturgy, and the two vendor salesmen, like one of them has like the other one in a chokehold, the other one is like reaching up and strangling the other. They both like look up and see who is shouting. You've halted the altercation for a moment. The other one like rips the guy's hands off of his throat and lets go of the chokehold, and then he stands up and he points to the other one and he says, "This fellow dares that his Bracadella is better than mine. Mine is the best in the city." And the other one, who's a dwarf, says, "This one's full of shite. There's no competition."
And that's worth trying to kill each other over?
Well, if he wasn't around anymore, there'd be no competition as to whose Bracadella's the best. And he, like, the dwarf is, like, tending his throat because it was being strangled.
Okay, well that sounds like a deeply terrible way of deciding anything because first of all, you're not actually you have no involvement in the food whatsoever. So
My
it's not gonna tell you
recipe
anything.
is from family generations,
And then
hundreds of years
secondly-
old.
How is hurting each other's throats helpful? You need those to eat your food. Have you tried each other's food?
Of course I have. Of course I have. And they both are like, they both fold arms and are looking at each other. And then they both look at you. And the dwarf says, try mine and tell him he's better off out in the Southwark with all the commoners.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try both of them. And I will only try both of them. That's the only thing that's fair.
You're going to pay for it, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
With the promise of a customer, both vendor salesmen seem to look at each other begrudgingly, and then they both begin preparing you a bowl of brockadeller, which is what they call it.
Do I know anything about this dish?
I roll a history. DC's like 8.
Okay.
It's a street food. You've heard of it for sure.
19.
19. It's a thick noodle pasta that's generally fried with all sorts of vegetables, and the meat is kind of interchangeable. Generally, it's mutton or beef, but it can also be made with chicken or seafood. And always it is then served with an oil-based sauce. It's the sort of thing that you can eat with your fingers while you're walking around.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
As both of them serve you up a bowl of, it's like basically a small stone bowl of this pasta. The dwarves is full of like carrots, broccoli, and then like a very thick cuts of mutton. The other one is much thinner with like asparagus and cut peppers and chicken in it. So it might be it might be Tam's personal preference, but I've rolled for both. Go ahead and roll me a... I mean, would Tam like that sort of food? I can't tell.
Oh yeah, he would be super into it. He would be into it. I think his thought would be that the dwarves he would prefer the dwarves texture, but he would probably prefer, what was the other one?
An elf.
Halfling? An elf? He would prefer the elf's flavor is probably what would happen. He would like them both.
Okay.
But like he would think that the strengths are different.
The elfin salesman, if you say that, would be like, that's not good enough. Surely there should be a more discernible judgment as to the superiority of my broccadella.
Why is it so important that it's the best?
Customers?
Okay, but why can't some people just prefer the texture and some people prefer the flavor and that'd be fine?
There's not enough customers on this part of town to go around.
Okay, so you go over this place and then
I was
you go
here
over this
first.
place. Oh, I see. This
He
is the
wasn't
actual.
here first. I'm here first.
Okay, this is the actual problem. This is not actually about who has a better product.
Of course
It's about
it is. Mine's better.
It's not actually about that. This happens with buskers all the time. The music is always good music. It's not about who's the best busker. It's about who feels like they should have the most lucrative corner.
The two vendors look at each other. So what would you suggest then, Mr. Tiefling?
Temerity. Well, the first peaceable solution I would suggest is that you trade off who gets the corner.
I'll not do business with this sort of riffraff.
Why not?
Well, look at him. It's clearly he doesn't clean his hands after every cook.
It's the most lucrative solution. Do you want the most lucrative solution?
Roll a persuasion.
I mean, because if you don't, you're not a very good salesman. 29.
29. The two look at each other. I suppose the lad does make some sense. I get Mondays. And you see the dwarf kind of like scowls. Monday's the best day for business. Why not we come up with an arrangement where we both take a cut of each other's other days?
If Monday's the best day for business, then and there's 7 days of the week and you're splitting it, maybe the person that gets the best day for business, the other person should get 2 days.
They both kind of at the same time say, I'm fine with that. There's some grumbling, and the elven one seems to like pack up his cart and begins to wheel it down the street. And the dwarf picks up all of his own dishes and he looks at you and he says, thanks.
Yeah, sure thing. You make a mean dish of food. I
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Mm.
What do I owe you?
Oh, you've already paid.
Okay.
And each serving was basically 3 copper. So go
Oh,
ahead and
perfect.
take 6 copper out of your pocket.
Change, pocket change, but
Yeah.
perfect.
Well, it's straight food. I mean, you get what you pay for. It's simple, it's cheap, it's filling.
Love that. Love that for me. Oh, I did. The pocket change comment was like, "Oh, good, I don't have that much."
Oh, yeah. You have solved my Brockadeller problem. Well done. That is what you rolled. Having created peace again on the noodle-strewn streets of the Fool's Porch, you make your way out of the gates, and then you are out of Augur City, out on the Fool's Porch, where the buildings that reach out across the main road split out into flatland, where the hills turn into farmland, where you see the Severt farm off to your left. It is like a little bit of a walk out to it, but it won't take you long. However, as you walk out there, I'm going to require perception checks from all of
Sure.
yous.
I would also like to say that I share the rest of my doodles with my party.
Wash seems enamored with them. Skolna just takes a couple, but Wash seems extremely
I figured
pleased.
it. I had a suspicion. Which one is, out of curiosity, which one does Wash like better?
Oh, she likes the dwarves one.
I have a feeling. Tam secretly in his heart likes the dwarfs better also, but didn't want to betray that on his face.
Right. Well done. Yeah, Wash seems quite pleased with the thick slabs of mutton over the noodles and is enjoying the
Rad.
dense protein.
Tam will eat the elven one instead, so she can have more of that one.
You're hiding the fact that you prefer the dwarves one.
Yep.
Please roll me a deception check.
Okay. Eight.
8. I don't think she even needs to roll, but okay. Wash looks at you as she noodles are half hanging out of her mouth, and she just will hold out the dwarf's bowl to you.
You like this one better. I can get another one.
You like this one better.
That's okay.
We didn't tell them that for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm. Because it
People
shouldn't
are
just be up
weird.
to me. It shouldn't just be up to me. It would be stupid if it were just up to me.
You look down at the bowl. Half of it is missing.
Half of mine or half?
Yeah,
of
half of
yours?
yours. Because and you glance over and Skolna's just chewing.
I think at some point Tam will also look around for Annabelle and be like, "Do you want in on this?"
No,
You want any of this?
I ate, but thanks.
Okay. Cool.
That's you. The aftermath of the resolution of that problem. Wash clearly prefers the denser, heartier dwarven Brockadeller, and Skolna apparently
Skolna,
prefers the
clearly.
elven one.
And Tam will happily let his party members just eat the rest of it.
Yeah. You had clava, you had some breakfast, so you're not starving.
Yeah,
So it's no big deal.
it's not like I'm hungry. Tam is just amused.
Your march towards the Severt farm is perhaps accompanied by the crunching of noodles and vegetables. I rolled, and I forgot what the roll was for. Right, perception. Wash says, with a mouthful of noodles, "Look there." And she points out. You see on like above the pasture, where there clearly is like a cow fence. You see there are a few cows just kind of being cows. They're just standing out in the field, looking bored. It's a bright, sunny day. You see there are people out in the field that look like they're literally just loitering. Like,
Interesting.
one of them is
Do they look
smoking. They don't look like they're being careful about being seen, and they don't look like guards, but they also don't look like farmhands.
So they're probably Gold's Watch in plain clothes.
Probably.
Okay.
They're just kind of standing out there. One of them looks... Wash points out one of them looks like he's kind of falling asleep standing up.
Okay. Tam will shift into his nondescript human disguise self.
Okay. What's your...
That is different. My DC 17.
Thank you.
That's different from because I think he was a human. He was in a human disguise self form, and then he dropped it the first time he met Kaiza. So I think it'll be a slightly different human-like form in this case.
As Wash points them out, Annabelle turns to Wash, and she says, "I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but do you mind if I touch you real quick?" And Wash, looks surprised back at Annabelle and then to you, and she says, "For why?" And Annabelle says, "Just to hide you better." And Wash says, "Okay," and just looks really confused until Annabelle reaches forward and she, opens a vial that she touches to Wash's shoulder, and you watch as the vial's fluid just, spreads all the way across Wash, and Wash vanishes as Annabelle casts invisibility on her.
Wow! That's smart.
I know. They can still hear you, just they won't see you, so... I figure I'm a stranger in town, and none of you look like you, so... And also, Skolna is completely you don't know where she is.
And also, Skolna's a rogue, and she's fine.
Right. So, by all appearances, you and Annabelle are the only ones out here.
Okay. Hey, Skolna, I don't know where you are. Do you want a little boost for sneaking?
Sure.
I imagine you won't really need it, but just in case. Unless you would
you
like
just hear a sure from behind you somewhere.
Okay, he'll tap her. I think he taps one of her horns,
Okay.
and a little fiddle cord kind of vibrates in the back of her mind, and she has enhanced ability for Cat's Grace.
Okay. You are now concentrating on enhanceability. Okay, let's see here. Unfortunately, it appears as though my foundry is breaking. One moment. As you and your group kind of make your way, well, group, quote unquote, as you and Annabelle openly are moving out here, one of the individuals who are out just in the open kind of notices the two of you. Hey there!
Hi.
What y'all up to?
We're just kind of wandering around, and we saw that there was a farm. That's all.
Alright. He just kind of chews on the stem of a pipe, and he's just kind of appraising the two of you. I haven't seen many farms back where I'm from. I thought I might, Are the cows friendly? And this individual kind of looks at Annabelle. It looks like he's confused. Like he wasn't expecting that at all.
Can I insight check?
Sure.
That's only an 8. I'm rolling terribly on insight.
With an 8, you can't really read him, but he seems... You get that he's confused. I suppose so. Yes. Yes, they are.
Are there horses too? Chickens?
Just
Pigs?
cattle.
Oh, okay, just livestock. Okay.
uh,
You think maybe the farmer would let us, like, look at the cows?
I don't know. Probably. Might be best not to even bother him. If you stay on this side of the fence, you can, say
Oh,
hi.
you just okay. That's great. Is it like it? I'm looking right. Is it like an electric fence or anything, or is
No,
it just
it's
like
just
a
it's just a wooden
normal
fence.
ass wooden
Um,
fence?
the
Okay,
one of the
cool.
cows is clearly like its head is just over the fence, and it's slowly chewing on basically cud. Um,
Okay, great. I'm gonna act a tourist and try to feed it some grass.
okay, roll animal handling.
I'm gonna try to like make a distraction for Skulna to maybe slip through.
Okay, first roll animal handling before anything else.
Yes. Oh, that was almost a 19. 6.
The cow does not seem to care about you, and as you try and offer it grass, it just keeps chewing. You don't get bit or anything. The cow seems very docile, but it does not seem to care about you either. Like, it doesn't seem interested in you at all. Um,
What kind of color is it?
the
Is it like a
cow
black and white cow?
is big and brown, all brown.
Okay.
Does have a pink nose. That's
I'm
Annabelle next to you is like, we need to get a little closer to the barn. I can't. It's too far for me to read anything.
okay. They will he will spend an appropriate amount of time kind of like being looking obviously interested in the cow.
Okay.
And then sort of like strolling down, presumably in search of friendlier cows to try to pet the noses of.
Roll performance.
I am not using my rapier, so normal.
That would be a little weird.
That would be a little weird. 17.
17. Okay. You are putting on a good enough a facade that you are interested in the cows, that we will vignette over to Skolna, who is
Great.
prowling through the high grass outside the cow farm on the way towards the barn. Skolna
Fantastic.
knows the goal is to get to the barn and try and get inside of it. I need you to roll me for Skolna a stealth,
Okay.
which is going to be a d20 plus 12 at advantage.
Okay. Would she have had advantage anyway without my natural 20? 32.
No, it's daylight, so there's not really any shades for her to use. With a 32, it's
I feel like she's fine with 32
yeah,
probably.
she's extremely confident in her ability to move through these fields without being seen. She creeps her way all the way up alongside the barn. I need you to roll me a d20 plus 9.
Okay. Thank you, Skulna, for being a rogue. Thank you for being a rogue.
With a
21.
21, Skolna gets up next to the barn and begins to slowly creep along its edge, making her way down, trying to find an egress, a way to get into the barn. And with a 21, she finds toward the far, northeast corner of the barn, there are some loose boards. Looks like maybe a fox or a coyote dug underneath it. Skolna, being as small and lithe as she is going to try and squeeze through there. Please roll me a d20 plus 9.
Oh,
Uh,
shoot.
slash R.
Oh my gosh. Slash R.
Slash R space d20 plus 9.
I literally just did this twice. Oh no!
With a 10, Skolna tries to squeeze underneath. Well, wait, you enhanced her ability, so she still has advantage.
Is this a dexterity thing?
Yeah, it's acrobatics.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yes. I
So
thought it was investigation for some reason. Come on, skull 9 out of natural 1. Much better. 21.
with a 21, she does not get stuck and instead slips right in to the barn, where Skolna is immediately pressed for her dark vision to see crates. Lots and lots of crates. Some of them have been opened, most of them are closed, and Skolna is going to need to roll me another stealth check now that she's inside.
Okie dokie. Plus 12, right?
Yes, and at advantage.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I think I added a d12 by accident.
You did. You rolled... Whoa. You rolled it the other way around. You rolled
Sorry.
2d12 plus 20.
Yeah, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. This is the real one. Ooh, natural
31.
19. 31.
Okay.
He's a ghost.
As Skolna pulls herself up onto her feet and looks inside the barn. The barn itself is very big. It is a 2-story barn, and she sees immediately the second story of the barn is gone. They removed it. Or someone removed it. Not really sure who. The crates are stacked high, all the way up to the ceiling, in rows of what look like 30. There's many of them, so there's a lot of these crates in here. Each crate looks like it could fit a person. Each one is like 5 by 5.
Wow.
As she looks around, she sees that on the front side of the barn, inside it, the doors are closed. There are people in this barn.
Interesting.
There's 2 people towards the entrance of the barn. They are having a quiet conversation, and she can hear the sounds of what sounds like maybe playing cards being put on the table. The distinctive of cards being folded and set on the table. The occasional laugh, but otherwise the 2 are pretty quiet. She gets the impression that these 2 are just here to occupy the space and make sure nothing interesting happens, which is what's happening. Skolna's going to sneak around the far side of the crates, and I need you to roll me an investigation for her again. This is plus 9.
Okie dokie. And this is not an advantage.
No, it's a straight roll. 18. Okay. As Skolna creeps along the front side of the crates, she sees that the first row of crates have a few of them that are open. And as she glances into them, she sees that each one has a little slip of paper. In front of those paper are these squares. Each square, in the dark, it's hard to tell exactly what it is, but each square is like, looks like a bar of metal.
Interesting.
And she quietly is going to pick one up. I need you to roll me stealth at advantage again.
Excellent.
With a 22, Skolna... Hold on. There is actually a chance they might notice that. They'd have to roll really high, but... not high enough. Skolna collects one of these bars, reaches down and collects one of these slips of paper. Each of the crates seems to be full of the same thing. All the ones that she sees. She has
paper different?
With that investigation, she would have to really study them, and she's not going to spend the time to do that.
Sure.
With the slip of paper in hand and the bar under her arm, she slips back out towards the opening in the barn's wall. As she slips her way out, I need you to roll me one more stealth for her.
One more stealth. Natural 19, 31.
Okay. She slips back out through the hole, and as she does, right next to that hole on the southeast corner, facing the other direction, one of the individuals that were loitering outside is right there. But with a 31, Skolna slips out and is completely silent and just creeps away. As she's like leaving, she can hear someone say, Fox is out here. Just completely silent.
This is why you send a rogue, kids.
No kidding. Skolna gets out and away from the barn to the point where it's not really possible for any of these guards to see her. You feel a tap on your left thigh. And then you feel something being stuffed into your pocket.
Tam nods and kind of whistles a little bit and gradually curls away from whatever cow he was looking at.
Okay. Yeah, the cows are pretty bored and boring.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Tam will wave at the not guards.
Yeah.
Say, thanks for letting us look at your cows.
The one with the pipe, who has been watching you the whole time, just goes, yeah, sure.
Yeah. He scampers off.
Okay. As you make your way away from the farm, back towards the city. Roll me a deception.
Okie doke. $18.
18. Okay. The guard seems a little confused, but he just relights his pipe and leans against the cow fence, doesn't seem to think anything of it. And you, as far as you can tell, Wash, Skolna, and Annabelle make your way away from the farm.
I will, once we are kind of like well out of earshot, I'll say to Annabelle, might be best to wait. I've got this in my pocket. Might be best to wait until we get back to look at it. Is that okay?
Oh, I thought we were just giving up. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, we're good. You can't see my rogue, but here somewhere she put whatever she got in.
Shit!
In her pocket.
All right.
We're good. I know, she's real sneaky. This is why you work as a team.
Yeah, makes sense. And you make your way back into the Fool's Porch area. Do you wait until you get all the way back to Cavies?
I think so.
At some point, Annabelle says, I'm about to run up, and then immediately Wash just reappears. And Wash says, that was a little boring.
Sorry. It was really useful for you to see those people ahead of time, though, so we could prepare.
No problem. I'm glad I was able to help.
Sometimes these jobs are, the thing with being on a team is that sometimes you get to shine and punch the trolls with fire so they can't hurt us, like you did that one time.
I really wanted to stun that guard that was by you, but...
I appreciate it. Well, if we want to stick to the thing where we don't kill a lot of people, sometimes stealth is the best policy.
You're right. Just not my usual, I guess, is better.
I think it's better some of the time. We're in a position where we're not doing a lot of, we're doing a little bit more infiltration and reconnaissance. He'll translate those words into Primordial.
She nods, and in Primordial says, thanks, I understand that.
So I recognize, like, I understand, like, it'd be kind of, I don't get to use this cool rapier very much, but I imagine we'll get a chance. We'll get a time to do it at some point. It's just, right now, there are too many innocent people around,
Right. Makes sense to me.
But hey, if you want to fight Sigona, she would probably appreciate it. I'm not as you've seen, I'm not very good at putting up much of a fight for her.
What you mean?
You remember how I tried to, you know, that fist fight that we got into
Yeah?
in her room that one time? I was trying to cheer her up so she could hit something. She likes to hit stuff.
Oh.
You also like to hit stuff. You would probably be a much better opponent for her than I am.
Oh, you
But I
mean
didn't want to volunteer
spar? She
you.
wants to
Yeah,
spar?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
All right, yeah, I guess. It's
if
just
you
not.
want to, if it would be interesting.
Used to do a lot of that in training. I kind of was glad that it was over. All right.
Oh, well, you don't have to if it's not interesting.
No offense to Sagona, but I mean, sparring, it generally requires a lot of hand to hand, and I don't. Sagona doesn't seem the kind to do that a lot.
Well, she kicked my ass, but that's fair. I don't really do that a lot either.
Watch just
What
like pats you on the shoulder, and she says, "It takes practice."
I have very particular strengths, and they are not that kind of combat.
They're not. And she
No,
just smiles
they're
at
not.
you.
Um, Out of curiosity though, what is interesting to you? Like if sparring is kind of a thing that you're kind of glad that you don't have to do as much anymore. Like what part of the training? I remember you were doing some interesting like meditation stuff where you were kind of like standing on one foot and making I think it was piles of things appear or something like that. You were drawing circles.
That's just practice for my key, which is, I don't know if interesting is the right word, but it's the only way I know how to fight.
Well, what is interesting?
This is pretty interesting. She like looks around at the city as you guys are walking. Spent most of my
Well,
life underwater, and then this is remarkable. I mean, there's no way to go up easily, but this is all very pretty in a different way. And the smells are,
well,
everything smells good.
whoa, whoa, wait, hang on. If you're underwater
Yep.
and you said there's no way to go up, does that mean that when you're underwater, you can just swim into the upper levels of whatever building you want?
Yeah.
Hey, see, I grew up not here, but in a place that was around here, not underwater, and that's just not a thing you can do here. That's like you might as well be flying, basically.
It's it feels the same. Watching people fly, it's like wishing was still able to swim.
Well, then we should find somewhere to swim.
I mean, there's water. We can go in the river, but I mean, there's no buildings in the water. There's no. There are things I miss about the shelf, you know?
Yeah,
There are things I don't miss about the shelf, too, so I'm not eager
like
to go back
the
anytime soon.
like the attention.
Yeah, like the attention. I could do without that.
How is it here having people not pay you a lot of attention?
It's
Is it weird?
great. You know, it's fantastic.
Preferable. Preferable.
Yes. People sometimes look at me weird, but I think they haven't seen my kind much, which is fine. I understand. It was always weird whenever there was a human or a dwarf in the shelf. Everyone stared and asked questions.
So, you didn't like being a celebrity.
No.
That's interesting. A lot of people want to be celebrities.
Yeah, I wanted to for a while, and then I was one, and it's not fun.
It sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds to me like you would have a lot of attention, but not a lot of connection.
That's very true. I was very lonely.
Yeah.
I'm still lonely, but not the same way.
Well, at least you don't have to be lonely in a crowded room.
Yeah.
He'll pat her shoulder.
I wish more people spoke like you did.
What do you mean?
Knew how to speak Aquan and also with everyone else.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I can't imagine how frustrating it must be to be remarkably clever and have a lot of important thoughts and not be able to express them the way that you want to. That must be incredibly frustrating.
Everyone looks at me like I'm disabled or sick.
And you're not. You just don't speak their language.
Yet. I'm trying. And thank you for your help.
Yeah, you're going to be great. It's just going to take some practice. I am still not super great at Celestial, but I learned it. It takes some time.
It's just hard when everybody's talking all at the same time. I can't. It's too fast.
I understand. Let me know if I'm ever talking too fast for you, okay?
Okay.
If you want, we can have a little group signal that means slow down.
You don't have to do that for me. I'll get it.
I mean, I can, though. It might be easy. It might make it easier and it would be more fair. Would that be okay?
Yeah, but then everybody would look, oh, it's because Wash can't understand because she's too dumb.
No, it's not about being dumb. It's about you learning the language. Everyone would get that. You're not dumb, Wash. Just like the people that don't speak Aquan, do you think that they're dumb because they didn't grow up on the shelf?
No.
Well,
But
same
not
thing.
everybody thinks like that.
Okay, but do you trust that, like, Sagona and Skullnut, you don't think Wash is dumb, right?
Skolna, who is like walking alongside you, just shrugs and then shakes her head.
Okay.
All right, we can try it, I guess.
Hiram speaks common and he barely talks. He's not going to think you're dumb.
He's easy to understand.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think sometimes he's the hardest of all of y'all for me to understand.
Well, it's easy to understand what he's saying.
Why? He doesn't say anything. If he doesn't say anything, that's kind of hard to understand, right?
He talks with his actions.
Mm. Yeah, that's harder for me to read. I prefer to talk with my words.
I know.
Sorry if that's annoying.
I think everybody communicates differently.
I think that's very true. You are very wise.
I know. Now, if only everybody else knew that too.
Well, you'll teach him. And
What?
you'll learn common in no time.
Just wish it wasn't so common.
Look, he made a joke.
She sighs.
He made a joke in a language that wasn't yours.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, sure thing, Wash.
As this conversation has been going, you've been moving through the city until you find yourself standing in front of Cavi's bar.
Okay, we enter.
As you go inside, once you're inside the doors, Skolna then reaches out with a bar, and it's significant. Like it's maybe, it looks like it's maybe like 10 inches by like 12 inches. It's
So like a
significant.
gold bar looking sort of situation.
Kind
Okay.
of, except it is a shimmery blue, like, it almost looks like it's got layers to it of blue and then dark blue and then light blue and then dark blue all the way through it.
Is it Riverine?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. I'll kind of like, with a little flourish, sort of like make a gesture to it and look at Annabelle.
Annabelle looks at it and she says, "Yeah, that's Riverine. I don't really feel like we needed me to go there. If you could just bring it back like this. Better
Well,
safe than
you know,
sorry,
maybe-
though."
Maybe there was a different way to do it. We are lucky that we have such a skilled rogue. He'll grin at Skalna, or at least he'll grin in the direction that Skalna was, and probably no longer is.
She's still right there.
Okay.
And she just nods sagely. Um, all right. She like holds out her hand to take the bar from you. Um, and she like runs her fingers over the surface, and you notice there are markings impressed upon this bar. Um,
Okay.
it looks like numbers are pressed into the top of the bar on one side. Um, Annabelle says, "These are shipping marks. This is supposed to go somewhere. Surely not here with the war going on,
So they're being diverted from somewhere.
I guess.
Probably somewhere can, because it's a can good.
One might expect that, yeah." She, like, flips the bar over and is looking at it. This
That person
is...
that
Hmm?
that person that was murdered, did they have a connection to this? I
I
wonder.
don't... Maybe. I don't know. If there
You were
was
saying?
Riverine in their possession, and the regular guard got a hold of it, boy, they'd be shut up real quick by whoever it was running this operation.
I bet.
Did you say you had something else?
No, I was just trying to make connections, but I think you said you were looking at the marks. Is there anything else that you see on this?
Uh, Whoever it was that pressed this, well, it's professionally done. Probably a foundry of some kind. Uh, would have been a factory, big one. So definitely a long-standing business in KO.
Do I know any factories in KO? I know that I rolled a natural one for Riverine, but is there any sort of like, do I at least know like the part of the city that this might have come in? Like, would it have been Coda City? Would it, or the part of the country? Would it have been somewhere else?
Roll a history check.
Nothing. 9.
9. You don't think Coda City has a factory in it.
Okay.
It's a little bit like the vibe you get from what you know about Coda City is the industrial sector is kind of kept secluded, separate.
Sure.
Because the
Sure.
elves of Coda City like to keep it very pristine and naturalist. So that's what you get.
This is a pretty rare material, right, Annabelle?
Yeah, this bar probably worth 400 gold just by itself.
And they have just oodles of it. Just tons and tons and tons of it.
Skull nods.
What would I mean, you know more about weapons and stuff than I do. What would someone be stockpiling this for? It's got to be weaponry, right?
Or they're building something real big, something that can deal with lightning, or something that's just real tough. This stuff is real strong. It's like, Mithril? It's similar in
Hmm.
strength to that and weight. It's just got some magical properties to it as well. It's also easier to make for those of us who aren't dwarves, but have access to water that's below freezing point.
So some kind of weapon or some kind of defense.
Yeah, something big, something scary, I think.
Something big. The question I wonder is it something that they're trying to defend the city from a Kayan invasion? Or is it something that maybe the king wants to use to defend from his own people?
That's a good question. It's all on the hush, so it's probably something the king wants discreet, which
Yeah.
is real questionable in my mind, this amount
Mhm.
of hardware.
If they were, yeah, if they wanted to, make a big fuss about all our defense that we have against the Kaon invasion, you would think that they wouldn't have to keep it so hush hush.
Yeah. But what if the enemy that they're afraid of isn't the Canes?
Yeah, that's my thought. It's probably
Come on, let's show it to
his own
Pops.
people. Yeah.
So Annabelle leads the way over to Alacaster's table, where you do see the familiar black hair, red eye division of Meridna Adelon is seated there as well. And Alacaster sees you all approaching, and he says, "Tell me, y'all have some good news for me."
Well, we figured out what's over there, but I don't know if it counts as good news. I'll show him the brick.
Oh,
We have just really cannot emphasize enough how many boxes of this. It's called the seventh one.
Alcester like picks it up and looks at it. It's true blue K and Riverine. How
Real
much did you
suspicious.
say?
Skalna? I wasn't in there. She was.
Skolna, like, you see her, she's like thinking for a moment. 300 crates. And you see, like, when she says that number, Alcester, like, all right. Well, darling, what do you think they could make with 300 crates of this? And Annabelle shrugs. Something real big. Something real scary.
Something real secret, apparently, from the people.
Skolna bumps you on the thigh where the slip of paper is in your pocket.
Okay. He will take it out.
You see that on the slip of paper, it is a manifest described to be from the Brass Foundry, Halstead KO. Organized shipment of what looks like 10 tons of riverine destined. You good? Oh, you're typing.
Yep.
Destined for the city Taka of Terracona.
Okay. Halstead. I have a contact there. Well, that's from there. One of our ranger students is from there. I wonder if he would know anything about this.
Is that right? Any chance you could reach out to him?
Oh, I can. Yeah. I mean, there's a wizard student too, but I know Killian better.
You need to send a letter, or is this something you can?
No, I mean, a letter probably wouldn't get through anyway. I don't even know where he is, but I can just send him a message. What do you want me to ask him specifically?
Okay. Ask him. That's a good question. Would he know? There's no way. Would he know if the brass foundries might have any alliances with the Demerick family?
I can ask him that, absolutely.
As you're like talking about this, you see Meridna Adelon is like tapping her lips with her finger, and then she says, "It is curious how much of that has come through the city lately. Many coffers have been filled with the stuff. And Demerick is proposing a replacement of Aurelian currency with Riverine coins."
What? Why? That's so weird.
Well, if you mint your own currency and set its own value, you
Then
can
you
then assign a whole new order, better than gold, to buy things from other nations. And if all of it is made
but
with
he would
stolen Riverine,
then you can just print yourself money. Okay. Yeah, that's so you think that instead of making a like a weapon or something, he's thinking about just making his own coin?
That's my guess. If you can print your own coin, you can crash economies.
Yeah.
And if you can print your own coin and use it to buy out a nation you're at war with, who's to say where the borders actually lie?
That's clever. Okay, well, I'll send my message now.
Please.
And he's basically going to say exactly. He'll say, "Hi, Killian." He'll set sending. Hi, Killian. It's Tam. Strange question for you. Do you know if the Brass Foundry has any alliances with the Demeric family? Need it for a mission.
Hold on, let me roll for Killian. Wow, okay, Killian rolled really well. You hear, in response, Killian say, "Hey there, oh, no, I mean, I do know, uh, there was a big feud about that. Demeric tried to buy out their foundry, and it was all over the news for years."
Huh. Tam will relay that to everybody else at the table. There was a feud about it. Demeric tried to buy the foundry and didn't. I don't know if. I mean, I can ask again if he was able to do that, but it seems like no.
Alacaster nods and says, "I don't think that's necessary. I think we have some footing here. All right. When our detective friend comes back into town, literally into this bar, we'll see if she knows anything about the Aurelian Mint, if there's been any changes there lately. In the meantime, well done. You got us some
Thanks.
groundwork." And he tosses a bag of coin to you.
Thanks.
Stick around, but don't get in any trouble.
Anything else I can help with right now?
We have some contacts we have to reach out to. If this is what I think it is, there's going to be a lot of suspicious shipments across town to the Noble District, to that particular mint. We could use you on a stakeout if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
So Nock did say he did tell me that if I had any information on the Riverine shipments, he could give me more information.
That
I'm
sounds...
happy to go hunt that down, but only if you trust him.
Why don't you, why don't you hop on over to the, Westerly papers, see if you can get him to come here and talk to me. Then
Okay.
go take a look. Let's see. Gonna need you to, well, head over to Castletown. See if you can find the Golden Press.
Okay.
It's discreetly named, but I trust your investigations to be good enough to find it. Just pay attention and see if there's any weird unmarked shipments heading to it.
Will do.
Stick around during the working hours. Stop back here around 5 p.m.
Will do.
You might want to take the whole squad for this one. Gonna need as many eyes as you can get.
Okay. Understood. I'll go get him.
Perfect. And as you gather up your team, that is where we will stop tonight's session.
Hell yeah. It is very pleasing to me that Tam's like friendship and connections that he spent so much time on at the Marigard are paying off for him now.
All right. So come to the end of the session. I hope you had a good time.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for playing with me. And to those of you who are at home or at work watching, hi Penn,
Hi,
hi
Ben.
class, hi Emily, hi everybody else. We love you all, and I wish you a good night.